Dave, I'm gonna need you to bow back. Like this is just incredibly disrespectful. Thank you. Jeez Louise.
I
Welcome
was
into
going for there. I was not sure what you were going for there.
what?
I had no idea what you were trying to do there.
It was a respectful bow. How
Oh.
are you, good sir? And I thought that's how we were going to start today's show, but clearly you don't respect me. So we'll just get into it, buddy. Welcome into the February 8th edition of the Locked On At Least podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti, your host of the show, as always. Leafs still on their bye week until Friday when they got the back-to-back against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So today what we're actually going to do is something a little different. Dave is going to kind of take the reins here. He's found a bunch of trade proposals online that fans have come up with, and we're just going to react to them. It's for guys like Chychrun, some, Patrick Kane ones, and probably some St. Louis guys, whether it's an O'Reilly, a Barbashev, whatever it may be. We're going to be reacting to trade proposals and pretty much giving it the thumbs up. Yep, we think the Leafs should do this, or no, the Leafs should not do that, or even, it seems like a little light. Might have to pay a little bit more for that player. So just overall reactions. It's fun trade talk, speculation season with just about 3 or so weeks until the trade deadline. So let's not stall it any further. We will get right into it. You listen to Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
You're Locked On Maple Leafs, your daily podcast on the Toronto Maple Leafs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I just realized, Dave.
Oh.
So the people on YouTube would have totally understood and knew what was going on when I was, bowing to you at the start. Out of respect, how are you, sir? The people listening to the podcast, it'd have been just dead air for them. And then they would have just heard me say, you need to bow back, and probably are thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? So I apologize to those who were listening, and like half of our downloads, our views, whatever, come via the audio podcast. So literally I alienated like 50% of our users in the first 7 to 8 seconds of the podcast.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, that's on me. That's on me. I do apologize. Welcome into the Locked On Leafs podcast to all of you, the audio and visual watcher / listener of the show. It's a one-stop shop for all things Leafs. I'm your host, Mike DiStefano, with my co-host, Dave Morassutti. Locked On Leafs, a daily Maple Leaf-centric podcast. Be sure to subscribe for free wherever you get your podcast from. You can also check us up on video as well on YouTube. It's Locked On Leafs on YouTube. Hit subscribe and follow along. We got new podcasts coming out each and every day, Monday through Friday. It's all Leafs all the time, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Locked On Network. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Speaking of getting started, I'm hoping that the trade season starts pretty soon. We did have the big deal last week go down with Bo Horvat, Delta New York Islanders, scored his first goal as an Islander today. They went on to beat the Seattle Kraken, or tonight, I suppose, last night for those who are now listening to this podcast. But hopefully that kind of opens up the trade market a little bit. I was having a chat with Darren Dreger on Leafs Lunch earlier today, and he says that, post All-Star break is typically when things really start to moving and shaking a little bit here starts to kick in. So hopefully that is the case. So you came up with this idea of something that you wanted to do today. Leafs are on a bye week. There's not a whole lot going on. There's no practicing. There's no nothing. So, it's a time for us to kind of get creative and have some fun. So you thought of this trade proposal idea. So why don't you explain to the good folks, watching, listening to the Locked On Leafs show, and let them know exactly what we're going to do here.
Yeah, so the idea kind of was brought upon by reading an article on Sportsnet.ca by Blake Murphy, who basically was grading or giving his thoughts to trade proposals that media members were sending him for the Toronto Raptors. I thought it's a neat idea, but I wanted to do something in a different direction where I looked at trade proposals that people were sending to Cap Friendly. It's always an interesting page to go on when you're seeing all the trade proposals.
Oh,
and
yeah.
let's just say it took me to page 2 to realize we might have something here in terms of let's do a review of these proposals because they are quite something. So yeah, I'm gonna pull up the page. I'm gonna pull up the proposals. We'll read it out, and Mike and I are gonna kind of see if there's any ones that maybe could work, or how many of them are just absolutely ludicrous, and maybe people should just stick to their day jobs.
I would imagine we'll go in that direction more times than not. But why don't we get started here? So what's the first deal on the docket that we're going to discuss?
So funny enough, the first one I am going to go through. So the funny thing is when you put these trade proposals into Cap Friendly, you actually have to give it a title. So this one here is titled Dubas after scrolling through CF being Cap Friendly. So I'm going to go with the first two here. Now you can add multiple trades to this. So there are layers to these trades.
Yes, because now they got the trade machine. It's not so the whole trade machine makes it real interesting.
And the trade machine is a good tool because it actually tells you if the trade is feasible based on the salary cap. So I do Cap Friendly, an amazing tool. So we're going to dive into this one. So the first trade here, the Toronto Maple Leafs will be getting a second round pick, which actually was originally theirs. The Seattle Kraken in exchange will get Joey Anderson and Alexander Kerfoot.
Why?
Why would this? Yeah, why? If Kyle Dubas got that, he should be running. He should hang up the phone. He should say, yes, got it. Hang up the phone, put that thing through to the NHL. Trade, I guess, what do they call it? The trades central
registry
to get that deal done, because this would be just complete and utter. Just I don't have words for that one.
I say why on both sides. I don't see why Seattle really would also make that move. Why would they give up a second round pick? They're not a rebuilt, I don't know what to classify it, but they're a building franchise, I guess. They haven't had many drafts. They still have a pretty thin pipeline. I know they got a couple of guys, Shane Wright, Matty Beniers, but ultimately, they still have a pretty thin pipeline. So why are they giving up valuable second round picks to go and acquire, a guys like a Joey Anderson who may not be an NHLer and at best, I guess, could be considered a fourth line player. But also, why are you giving up a second round pick to go get Alex Kerfoot? I don't know where Alex Kerfoot fits on the Seattle Kraken roster, where it makes sense
how he fits on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Exactly, right? Lower, a little bit lower. Sure, he's a good piece, but it just, I don't know. To me, this doesn't make sense. I think this is just somebody hoping to get salary, so they're oh, who could afford this? Oh, okay, let's send him there and let's get a second round pick and return. It just doesn't make sense. And even from a Toronto perspective, yeah, I guess getting a second round pick for Alex Kerfoot is probably a good return. But I'm not so sure that that's what Toronto's going to be looking to do. I mean, I guess it would depend on what else they're doing and how many other pieces they're looking to add at the deadline. But yeah, I don't expect this trade to happen. Let me just put it that way. It doesn't make any sense from mainly a Seattle perspective, I guess. So I don't expect this one to go through.
So now we move on to our second trade that likely don't expect to happen because it's quite a doozy one.
This is the dumbest, maybe one of the stupidest trades proposals I've ever seen.
And you know what, Mike, you haven't even seen all of them, so you're putting the baseline so low. So to Toronto, we have Matt Dumba with $3 million in salary retained, and Ryan Hartman going to the Leafs in exchange for Pierre Engvall, Roni Hirvonen, Nicholas Moldenhauer, Nick Robertson, the third round pick from that was the Senators trade in the Matt Murray deal, and the 2024 first round pick owned by the Leafs.
So, you want my raw thoughts on this, or you want me to keep it PG here?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to keep it PG, unfortunately, but
I don't think I would even give up a first-round pick for Dumba and Hartman, let alone that entire package.
Do people not realize that Matt Dumba was a healthy scratch?
Bro, so is Ryan Hartman. Both of these guys have been healthy scratches in the last month. Like, neither player are particularly what they were 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan Hartman, could he help this team? Probably. Yeah, I think he could. Like, would I trade Ryan Hartman maybe straight up for like a Roni Hirvonen? Maybe, because he's cheap. I think he might be under contract next year too. And he's somebody who might be on the could be on the fourth line, could help out with the special teams. Maybe I could see something like that happening. But why are you giving up a whole package for Matt Dumba? That's just not like Matt Dumba at this point. I don't think he's a better player than Timothy Liljegren. He's not a better player than TJ Brody. So what? You're paying a first-round pick, Nicholas Robertson, a third, Moldenauer, Irvinen, and Engvall, all to just get a third pair defenseman? Get out of here. This is just absurd. Absolutely absurd.
They titled this trades that Dubas will want to see via CF. Yeah, he wants to see it for comedy. So we're gonna keep on. This one got a chuckle out of me. The Toronto Maple Leafs would get Miles Wood at $700,000 retained, going to the New Jersey Devils, a third-round pick.
This is one where Toronto runs to Central Registry and says, "Put this through now. Put this through right now, please. Yes, please."
Please, like hurry it up.
Yeah, I like Miles Wood, and we've talked about him before. I think in this past summer we had chatted about him potentially as a target for the Maple Leafs, and then he ended up going back to New Jersey. I just think he brings that different element that Toronto has lacks and kind of needs, right? Like that middle six, power forward type of player who's got an edge. So, and if you only have to give up a third round pick, like I 100% will be willing to do that. I don't recall what Miles Wood's salary is right now, but I think it's a little high, which is probably why they traded Alex Kerfoot for nothing to create that cap space to bring in a Miles Wood realistically.
By the way, these are all trades that are going to happen in sequence in some way, shape, or form.
Yes. Is there more?
There's more. I think there's one more. You want to see the doozy one that's next?
Oh my God.
Going to the Calgary Flames, Justin Hall. Going to the Leafs, a 6th-round pick and a 3rd-round pick.
So the additional details is hilarious. It says to any team. So it doesn't have to be Calgary. Just to any team. They want to send Justin Hall anywhere for a 3rd and a 6th-round pick. That's just dumb. Like, again, I can only assume
a 1st for Matt Dumba, but only get back a 3rd and a 6th for Justin Hall.
Exactly. And both are like Matt Dumba used to be a top 4 guy. He's not that anymore, unfortunately. So I'm not sure how much more of an upgrade he is over Justin Hall. So why are you giving up all of that and then you're only going to get back a 3 and a 6th? Doesn't make sense. And if you're a team that has playoff aspirations, you're going to want to keep Justin Hall around. Even if he gets pushed out of the lineup and is the team's 7th defenseman, it's a pretty darn good 7th defenseman, right?
So injuries are bound to happen.
You want depth. You want as much depth as possible. So I don't think just dumping guys like Justin Hall and Alex Kerfoot makes a whole lot of sense as cap dumps.
Mike, it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. This person decided, let's do a 5th trade. Brendan Lemieux from the LA Kings.
There's 6 trades. There's 6 trades in this.
I know. This is why I started with this one. And then after we do this one, we're going to have to take a break so Mike's brain can process everything.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, Brendan Lemieux, I guess you want to bring in that meat and potatoes grit type of guy, 4th liner who will fight people and run around and hit guys. Sure, I suppose he brings a heaviness to your team and you're only giving a 4th round pick. I think that this trade would make sense in a vacuum.
Hey, Mike, he'll take a chunk out of the opponent too, if you know what I'm saying.
Nice. Very nice. But I would not want Brendan Lemieux on the Maple Leafs, by the way.
Right. Trade number 6.
Yeah, go ahead.
You got James Reimer at $1 million retained, a 6th-round pick from the San Jose Sharks.
No.
Durkin Chentsev, and a 2024 3rd-round pick that was owned by the Calgary Flames.
It's a 2025 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
And you better get that 2025 sixth if you're making that deal. You got to make sure you get that 6th round pick.
Yeah.
I actually don't hate this trade. Funny enough, it's one that I'm kind of clowning on, but I don't hate it, and it's because that would be insurance on Matt Murray. The problem is, what are you gonna do? Have 3 goaltenders on your roster the whole season? Like I don't know if that's gonna work. This is only a deal that you do if you find out that that Matt Murray and that injury is going to be more long lasting. Yeah, see, this guy thinks Matt Dumba's a top pair defenseman.
Yeah. So what Cap Friendly does is it gives you the outlook on how the deal will shape things out on the roster. It's funny enough, I don't even see James Reimer as among the goaltenders here, which I find that quite funny. So you're gonna have James Reimer on the pine.
Yeah, he also has way too many players.
Yeah, I don't know how this one was kind of. Why is there a taxi squad? Are we playing with 2020 rules right now? This roster size is 25. I don't know how this one was kind of allowed by Cap Friendly, but that is exactly why a trade like this would never happen, because it physically would not be allowed to happen.
Well, I mean, it could. You would just send down
Bobby McMahon, Dryden Hunt.
Yeah,
they'll have to go down.
Yeah, you just send down a couple of guys, which is very easy to do, obviously. But yeah, pass on a majority of those. That is something. That is a creative mind that thinks that one team's going to be that active, but I just don't see it happening. All right, before we continue on with more of these just glorious, tremendous trade proposals, let me tell you guys about one of today's show sponsors. Of course, it's FanDuel. We're really excited about the new sponsorship with this sports betting partner for Locked On, because they're the #1 sports book in America. It's FanDuel, and if you're new to FanDuel, it's even better. They've got many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. If you download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now, you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll receive up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who's going to win, score a touchdown. You can also bet on the hockey game, the basketball, baseball, futures, anything you want. They got it on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe and easy, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL and the Locked On Network. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti. As we continue with the bye-week content, we will keep taking a look at some of these trade proposals that are out on Cap Friendly, and they are doozies, let me tell you. So I'm excited to keep going. That first one was mind-blowing. I'm curious to see what else you have in store for me, Dave. I haven't seen these, by the way, just so we know. These are raw reactions coming from me. Dave is the one who went, and he picked them because he wanted to get my raw reaction to these, just as an FYI. So let's get to the second big proposal that somebody has out there.
Well, guess what? We're now entering the Jakob Chychrun sphere.
Oh, God. Okay.
So here we go. Mike, you ready for the first one here?
Oh, yeah.
So going out from the Arizona Coyotes is Christian Fischer, Jakob Chychrun, the 2023 third-round pick belonging to the Washington Capitals, and a 2024 fourth-round pick from Arizona in exchange for Pierre Engvall, Rasmus Sandin, and 2 first-round picks that are both owned by the Leafs.
Interesting. I don't hate it. I actually don't hate it. Just because I think this is pretty well what they've been asking for the whole time, is essentially 2 first-round picks and a prospect. And then I guess in their minds, Pierre Engvall and Christian Fischer somewhat cancel each other out, but you're also getting a third to fourth round pick as well to kind of even everything out, I suppose, is the way that this person is looking at it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, but ultimately it probably will take something similar to this. Maybe 2 first and Sandin might be a bit much if you're not getting something else that's bigger than a Christian Fischer in return. Like I might prefer, a Nick Bjugstad involved in this deal, or you're not going to get a Lawson Krause. You're just not going to get that for this one here. But I think there's a couple other guys on that team that you would prefer, as opposed to a Christian Fischer, who's like a fine player. But ultimately, I think Nick Bjugstad's having a little bit better of a season. Big dude, like 6'6", 220.
Well, Mike, it's funny that you brought up Nick Bjugstad, because I saw another trade that was proposed, which I just threw up on the screen right now. So you switch out Christian Fischer and Nick Bjugstad. I'm going to give credit to this person. This was Sean290. So Nick Bjugstad and Jakob Chychrun will go out in exchange for Rasmus Sandin, Matthew Knies, a first-round pick in 2023, and the Senators' third-round pick in 2023.
So I think the important part here, and why I actually would entertain this deal, is because they have Jakob Chychrun at 40% retained cap hit, and that would be for the next 2 seasons on top of this. So he would be at what's he making? 4.25, something like that, 4 and change. I mean, he'd be just a little bit over $2 million would be his cap hit for the next couple of seasons. That could be very valuable for the Maple Leafs, and that might be worth paying up a little bit of a premium in terms of prospect capital or draft picks. So I think I'd pull the trigger on this one. I think I would. Like 1 first-round pick, yep, sure. I think you're willing to toss in a Sandin. I know that Matthew Knies is scary for some people to add and put in, but Matthew Knies, I think, is probably going to have to be in any Arizona deal. He's an Arizona-based kid. They probably would like to use him as a marketing tool and like a look at the hometown kid coming being a star here in Arizona. And then I like the fact that they're getting a Nick Bjugstad here, which is probably like the 3rd-round pick. So the way that I look at it, it's like Bjugstad at 50% retained, which I think he's making like league min, so it doesn't even matter. But pretty much Bjugstad for a 3rd, and then Jakob Chychrun at 40% retained probably would be worth Sandin, Knies, and a first-round pick for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think that would make a lot of sense. I think this is a decent deal that I would pull the trigger on if I was Dubas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially if you can actually get Arizona to take back money. They always take on contracts and players. Taking back money that's a very interesting proposal there. I'm going to bring up this one here because
I do want to say one more thing on that other deal.
Yep.
They probably don't make it if so basically here is the point I was about to make. I don't make this deal where I'm giving up Liljegren, Knies, and a first-round pick for Jakob Chychrun. I think that's too much to give up.
Yeah.
For Chychrun, the one guy, also because he does have an injury history. The only reason why I was willing to do it on the other deal is because of the cap retention. But if there's no retention, then that doesn't make it as attractive to me. So basically doing the exact same deal, but swapping out Liljegren, who I think is a better player than Sandin. To me, this one would be a swift no, I think.
So the reason why I brought up this trade too is because Cap Friendly says it can't actually happen. Because the salary cap just does not work. The Leafs would actually be over the cap, is from what I gathered here. So yeah, this is the other thing. When you're making deals like this, the cap is important.
So here is a trade that I would make. So in order to make the cap work here, to make this trade go through, like Matthew Knies and a first-round pick, I'd be willing to give that up. And I think if those are the 2 main pieces, I think that would interest Arizona. But in order to make it work, like Liljegren's just too much. I don't think you need to give up 3 first-round picks for this guy. I think that is too much. But 2 first-round picks and a 3rd, maybe you can get a B-level prospect in there as well. But this is somewhere where you look at one of the players that are on your roster currently that you can maybe offload who are making a little bit of money. So that's one of Kerfoot or Justin Hall, and that should be able to make the cap work because it was Was it 1 point something was left there?
It was about actually it was about 1.3 in terms of cap space.
Right. So maybe Hall wouldn't be enough, but if you could get Kerfoot dealt, I suppose, like Kerfoot and I is a first round pick and a third for Jakob Chychrun, I'd make that deal.
Yeah. So, it's funny because some of these trades I was looking at, I didn't want to just bring out all ridiculous trade ideas. This one I could see happening if the Leafs decide they want to go all in and getting a Jakob Chychrun, which is exactly why I don't think Dubas wants to trade that first round pick for a rental, because, well, what if there's a chance you can go and swing big to get someone of a Jakob Chychrun, right, who's clearly not a rental.
Right, exactly. Do we have any more Chychrun?
Those were all my Chychrun, like the ones that I thought were worth bringing up. I didn't want to bring up too many ridiculous ones. So
nope, that's perfectly fine. I figured we'd finish the Chychrun and then take another break and then get back to him. So if that's it for Chychrun, why don't we take the break? When we get back, what do we got? We got a couple of St. Louis, a couple of
St. Louis, we got a Chicago, and maybe one Detroit one too.
Beauty. So those trade proposals, the breakdowns of those are still to come. But first, Dave, a word from our show sponsor.
Yep. If you're looking for a delicious treat but don't want all the fat and calories, then you got to try a Built Bar. I actually just got a shipment of Built Bars, and I got their puffs, which are the greatest things that have ever come out of the energy bar, candy bar, whichever category you put Built Bars in. They're probably one of the best on the market right now. And what makes them so good is they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. I just got the peanut butter brownie and the banana cream pie puffs. They have also many other flavors like churro and coconut almond. I'm not sure how they do it, but these bars taste like a candy bar and maintain incredible macros. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. Now, you can go and get some if you're in the States at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Just go to the, in the pharmacy section of Walmart, you can get yourself a box of Built Bars. And then if you go to Sam's Club, you can go and get an even bigger box over there. But if you're like us here in Canada, have to buy them online still, then you can go on to built.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON15 and you'll get 15% off your order. So that is promo code LOCKEDON15 to get 15% off your order at built.com.
Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. It's Mike DiStefano and Dave Morassutti. Maple Leafs still on their bye week, so we're doing some fun stuff on today's show. Let's continue with our trade proposals. Dave, you've got a couple more that we got to break down here, so let's get right to it. Bring up the next one.
All right, so here's your St. Louis trade. We've got Noel Acciari, Ivan Barbashev, Ryan O'Reilly. I believe this would be at about half retained, 3.75 million retained. Going to St. Louis, you have Roni Hirvonen, William Villeneuve, a 2023 first-round pick belonging to the Leafs second-round pick in 2024, and a 2024 fifth-round pick. All going to St. Louis. Pretty much you're beefing up your forwards. 3 forwards, all of them that have been kind of – I haven't seen Noel Acciari's name out there. I'm assuming it's just another potential body to include if you're looking for a little more depth.
Yeah, I've seen it kicked around there as a team that's looking to add, another bottom 6 versatile forward. I think his name has been brought up a couple of times. Does this work cap-wise?
So, going down to the cap area, I don't even know where they did not give me the cap outlook.
There it is. Cap hit 82, I guess.
It looks like now the thing is, it does put the Leafs over in terms of roster size.
Yeah, you just move a guy, right? That's easy to do, right?
Now, this is also assuming. Now, this is another thing to make these trades work.
Oh, they put Matt Murray on LTIR.
Now, that was the other thing I was going to bring up. Right, you're putting Matt Murray on LTIR. Now, Pontus Holmberg was put on the taxi squad, and so was Joey Anderson. So I'm assuming that's just you're sending those guys down. I would think you're gonna keep Pontus Holmberg, and you're not like Wayne Simmons isn't gonna be there, and yeah, Your extras are Wayne Simmons and Zach Aston Reese.
I'll say this: that's a really good lineup, though. Like, I actually like that. That is a really good lineup. Like, looking
It
at
actually makes sense. I don't know about Noel Achari just because you
like Noel Achari. I think like he's a good bottom six player. Like, I would flip Achari and Engvall. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I probably would do that. Although I Camp and Engvall have had really good chemistry, so maybe you don't want to mess that up.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would even say if you're the Leafs and you want to figure out a way to lose a little bit of salary, you flip a Kerfoot in that deal maybe, because you're getting 3 forwards back. You can keep Pontus Holmberg in the lineup, and you can be. I think you would be okay to lose Kerfoot.
Well, even a Zach Aston Reese. I mean, you put him in the lineup if you don't think Pontus Holmberg can play, right? Or maybe Bobby McMahon comes up and plays some games here potentially. Yeah, it's not bad. Go back to the proposal though. I'm curious, but back to the proposal. I don't think we actually broke it down. Now I'll say this: I would be shocked if Toronto made a deal like this where they basically went out and addressed all of those needs with one team. As amazing as that would be, when I look at this deal though, I wonder if it would even be enough, right? Like, you're getting Ryan O'Reilly at 50% retention. You're getting Ivan Barbashev, who's a good, second line, third line player who it sounds as though is garnering a lot of interest around the league. So he might take a little bit to get him. I mean, I guess if you're saying a first round pick for Ryan O'Reilly, a second round pick, maybe a first rounder in Villanova for Riley, Hirvonen and a second rounder for Barbashev, Noel Achari, I guess, for a fifth round pick. Yeah, I think that value would actually shake out.
Not bad. It's not bad.
But now you're not really doing anything on the back end, though.
Yeah.
I think they do need to get somebody on the back end. So maybe that's where you take your Kerfoot and you flip them and you get just somebody who's got a little bit more meat and potatoes.
Depending on how much time, Mike, this probably will be our last one because I'm bringing back the crazies.
Oh God!
I'm bringing back the crazies. You're not ready for this. So, the title is Matthews told Dubas to get Kane.
Oh jeez!
I just love those ones. So you ready? Because I don't think one of the big. I'm gonna give a description too because I think this is hilarious. One of the biggest trades in NHL history: bring Kane to join Matthews and sign him to a 3-year deal worth $5 million per. Win the cup. Wait for it. Back to back.
Oh,
why are we doing this, guys?
Interesting.
So, Mike, is a lengthy one. I told you this one was going to be crazy. This might have even been crazier than the first deal we saw in the first block. So you got Max Domi, Patrick Kane at, I don't think this is at 50% retained. This is at $4.75 million. So it's not at the 50% mark, probably around the 40%.
45-ish. Yeah.
Sam Lafferty and Jake McCabe, who have all been rumored to be kind of in the scope of what Dubas is looking for, minus the Kane and Domi part. Going to Chicago. Ready for this? Pierre Engvall, Alexander Kerfoot, Matthew Nyes, Bobby McMahon, Matt Murray, Topi Niemela, Nick Robertson, Rasmus Sandin, a first-round pick in 2023, a first-round pick in 2024. Oh, and also we're going to throw in a 2023 third-round pick.
This is absurd.
This might be the most absurd trade I have ever seen.
It's just absolutely absurd. Like, first of all, you're giving up way too much. Like, just way too much. And why do you think you're going to get all 4 players from Chicago?
When has a team ever made a deal like this in the modern NHL? Like, when I mean modern, I mean in
ever.
Yeah. Like, I understand people have seen the craziness that has happened in the past with like the Matt Sundin for Wendell Clark Matt Sundin for and then you see the Doug Gilmour trade from Calgary. Are we living in those times, people? Because
there has 15 pieces involved in this trade. 15 pieces.
Toronto is sending 11 pieces to Chicago.
Look, this is, I mean, I get it. This is obviously a fake proposal, and the person who writes this clearly does not think this is going to happen. But even when you look at it from a value perspective, like, Toronto is overpaying by so much. Like, I'm not sold that Patrick Kane is gonna get a massive package in return. Like, you saw what Claude Lemieux got, or Claude Giroux got last year, right? Taylor Hall, who had a no trade clause as well, they didn't really get much for him when Buffalo traded him.
Second round pick,
and Anders Bjork, who I don't even think is in the NHL anymore. So, like, when someone has a no move and a no trade and they can control where they go, that loses the leverage. So it's not going to take a whole lot to get Patrick Kane. I really don't believe it's going to. Like, first round pick and a prospect. Like, honestly, first round pick and like Topi Niemelä might be able to get you Patrick Kane. You're telling me that Max Domi, Sam Lafferty, and Jake McCabe is worth Engvall, Kerfoot, Nyes, Sandin, Robertson, another first round pick, Bobby McMahon, and then yes, you're giving them Matt Murray's getting taken off of your books. I suppose that's worth.
We're gonna put 2 goaltenders on Chicago. Really, guys? You really think they're gonna take another goaltender with a questionable contract going forward off our hands?
I mean, I guess
that's why first round pick is thrown in there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I guess that's why maybe that's what they're asking for. Like, yeah, if you want us to take on Murray, we're gonna need Robertson, Nyes, and a first round pick in return, please. Like, this is just absurd. I don't even want to look at it anymore. Are there more trades, or is this the one offer?
That's it. Do you want me to go into the other one for Patrick Kane? Let me see if I can find it here.
No. I thought you meant there was like a Detroit offer or something.
Well, there is. I have the Detroit one queued up. We'll quickly pull this one up. I did see a lot of Leafs Detroit proposals, specifically for Tyler Bertuzzi. People really, really want Tyler Bertuzzi.
See UFA.
That is a very good question. I can check that quickly, but if you want to read out the trade while I do that.
Yeah, I will. So Tyler Bertuzzi, a 2023 sixth and 2024 fifth from Detroit going to Toronto in exchange for Joey Anderson, Topi Niemelä, a first, a third, and then a 2024 sixth round pick.
So Tyler Bertuzzi is a pending UFA. His current cap hit is $4.75 million.
So this is also at 50% retained. So I guess I should note that.
Yeah.
It seems
beefy in my opinion. Like
a tad beefy. Yeah, like a tad, but not actually outrageous.
I think because you're getting the 50% retained, that's where but the reason why I don't see this being done is I remember hearing Chris Johnson saying that Dubas does not want to move that first round pick for a rental.
Yeah.
He's saving. I understand that pick isn't seen as valuable as, other first round picks might be, but at the same time, other contenders that are going to look to offer their first round picks aren't going to be that much different than what the Leafs have. Right?
Yeah,
you look at Edmonton trying to get a Chychrun. You look at Boston trying to get a Chychrun. Their first round picks aren't much different than what the Leafs are going to offer. So that's why I think the Leafs want to keep that pick in that type of deal. So yeah, I'm not seeing it for that reason, but I don't mind Tyler Bertuzzi because he is, again, another type of player that brings what you need to that top six, alongside a John Tavares. Big forward, got some scoring touch. It's just fit. Not only the fit I can see, I just don't see it in terms of what you're giving up. And if that's the bullet in the chamber that Kyle Dubas wants to use those assets for.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Just seems like a little bit too much to give up for Tyler Bertuzzi. Despite the retained salary, I still think it's just, a tad high to give up. I think you're looking more like, a first round pick, and like I love when these trades toss out like fifths and sixth rounders. Like, why are you exchanging 6th-round picks? Like, why do you need to add a 6th on both sides? Like, they basically would cancel each other out. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why even bother add that to the deal? That's just where deals kind of lose me a little bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
we totally got it.
for me, it's probably just a little high. I guess I'm higher on Imola than maybe this person is. Maybe if it was like Roni Hirvonen and it was like Anderson, Hirvonen, and a first, the draft picks I think you could take out, like the 3rd, 6th, and then even the 6th and the 5th on Detroit side. But like Bertuzzi for a first and Hirvonen maybe, and Joey Anderson, potentially that could do it. Maybe even a first and Joey Anderson might be able to get it done, actually. Like, you might have need to add like one of those other prospects, like someone who could fill in right now. Plus, they get a 1st-round pick for a guy who might be leaving via free agency. So, yeah, I actually think take out Niemela and the draft picks, and I still think that would be a deal that might get considered by Detroit.
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, I don't think like we know Steve Yzerman isn't looking like they're not making a push for the playoffs. They're kind of in that no man's land in a way, and I think selling some guys sure makes add as many bullets to the chamber if you're Steve Yzerman at this point.
Tell you what, Dave, this is going to become a weekly segment from now on. Call it Wacky Wednesday until now and the trade deadline. So we will revisit some more of these crazy trades. And if you have some, put the offers down below on this video, and we'll keep it aside. We'll put it in our doc, and then we will break it down next Wednesday. We'll call it Wacky Wednesdays, where we take a look at these trade proposals. Because look, man, there's only 3 more weeks to go. 3 more weeks to go until the trade deadline. So,
and I'm telling you, Mike, this page gets updated frequently. I'm seeing new proposals showing up right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have lots of content between now and the trade deadline.
Absolutely, we will. And you guys can get in on the fun as well if you want to drop your trade proposals down below in the comment section on YouTube. All right, Dave, fun stuff, good stuff. That was a lot of fun. And again, we'll do this a couple more times between now and the NHL trade deadline. That'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe to the Locked On Leafs podcast on all podcast platforms and receive daily Leafs content. Follow myself on Twitter at Mickey_Canuck. Follow Dave at D_Morassutti. Also follow the show at Locked On Leafs and subscribe to us on YouTube. Locked On Leafs on YouTube. We'll be back with another episode for you guys tomorrow. But until then, keep it locked right here on Locked On Leafs.